Have you ever had a moment where you just stopped and asked yourself, what's the point of all this? Maybe it was during a breakup, or when you felt burned out at work, or while scrolling through social media, realizing how little of it actually matters. That question, what's the point, can feel like a curse. But according to one man, it might be the beginning of something powerful. His name was Viktor Frankl. He was a psychiatrist, a Holocaust survivor, and the creator of a therapy that doesn't try to erase your suffering, but instead teaches you how to find meaning through it. In a world obsessed with happiness, Frankl offered something else: purpose, direction, meaning. And today, that might be the antidote we need most. Frankl's ideas came from one of the darkest chapters in human history. He spent 3 years in Nazi concentration camps, including Auschwitz. He lost his parents, his brother, and his pregnant wife. He endured starvation, torture, and daily reminders that life could be taken at any moment. But within that horror, Frankl made a discovery. Some prisoners gave up, others didn't. The difference wasn't physical strength, or intelligence, or even optimism. It was meaning. People who felt they had a reason to live, even just one, seemed more likely to survive. Frankl quoted Nietzsche often. "He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how." So what is this why, and how do we find ours? Frankl believed that human beings aren't wired to seek pleasure or power as their deepest drive. Instead, we're wired to seek meaning. He called his approach logotherapy, from the Greek word logos, meaning meaning or reason. Now, here's the thing. Meaning doesn't just appear out of nowhere. You have to find it, or sometimes create it. Frankl believed we can discover meaning in 3 core ways. 1. Through creative work or accomplishment. This doesn't mean you have to write a best-selling novel or build a company. It could be anything you contribute to the world: a garden, a meal you cook for your family, the way you mentor someone at work. It's about doing something beyond yourself. Frankl, even in the camps, clung to the idea of rewriting the manuscript that had been taken from him. It gave him a reason to wake up one more day. So ask yourself, what do I feel called to create, to give, to contribute? 2. Through experiences, especially of love and beauty. This is meaning that comes not from doing, but from receiving. Frankl described moments in the camp where a fellow prisoner would look out at a sunset and whisper, "How beautiful the world could be." Even in horror, there were glimpses of grace. You might find it in music that moves you, in the face of someone you love, in a walk where the wind feels just right on your face. Frankl saw love as the ultimate source of meaning. He wrote that while he was starving, suffering, and alone, it was the memory of his wife's face that gave him strength. He didn't even know if she was still alive. But love, even imagined, made him more than his suffering. So ask, what am I overlooking? Who do I love? What beauty can I open myself to? 3. Through the way we respond to suffering. This is the hardest and the deepest path to meaning. Frankl's great insight was this: you can lose everything, your job, your health, your freedom, and still have the ability to choose your attitude. He called this the last of the human freedoms. When everything is stripped away, how you carry your pain can still be a choice. That's not to romanticize suffering. Frankl didn't believe pain was necessary for meaning, but he did believe that when suffering is unavoidable, we can redeem it by how we bear it. Think about someone going through cancer who becomes a light to those around them, or someone who loses a loved one and chooses to create something beautiful in their honor. We can't always avoid suffering, but we can decide what kind of person we'll be in the face of it. That's meaning. And the beautiful thing about this, meaning is available to everyone. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be successful by society's standards. Frankl said, "Life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose." This is radical. It means even if you're in a dead-end job, even if you're going through a breakup, even if you're dealing with anxiety or depression, There's still something you can reach for that gives your pain context and direction. Now, let's pause for a moment. This might all sound inspiring in theory, but what about in practice? What do we do with this? Here are a few simple, powerful takeaways from Frankl's philosophy that you can apply today. 1. Don't ask what you want from life. Ask what life wants from you. Frankl flipped the question. Instead of saying, "What do I want to get out of life?" he encouraged people to ask, "What is life asking of me right now?" It might be asking you to be patient, to be brave, to be kind, to finish something hard, to carry something painful with dignity. Try asking that question next time you're stuck. 2. Stop chasing happiness and chase meaning instead. Frankl believed happiness is a side effect of a meaningful life, not a goal in itself. When you make life about comfort or pleasure, you end up feeling emptier. But when you make life about purpose, relationships and values, you feel fuller, even when it's hard. 3. Meaning can be small. You don't need to change the world to find meaning. Sometimes it's in being fully present with someone who's hurting. Sometimes it's in doing a job well, even if it's unglamorous. Sometimes it's in choosing to not let your bitterness speak today. Look for the meaning that's already woven into your day. It's usually not loud, but it's there. 4. Your suffering doesn't have to be wasted. If you've been through pain, ask yourself, what can this teach me? Who can I help because I went through this? Frankl said, suffering ceases to be suffering at the moment it finds a meaning. And even if you don't have the answer yet, just being open to that question can change your relationship with pain. 5. You always have a choice. This is the heart of Frankl's message. Even if life feels out of control, you can still choose your attitude. You can still choose how you speak, how you act, and what kind of person you become. That's your freedom. And no one, not your boss, not your past, not even your fear, can take that away from you. But this isn't abstract. Frankl's insights came from some of the worst conditions imaginable. One of the most harrowing scenes in man's search for meaning describes a transport to Auschwitz. Dozens of prisoners were crammed into cattle cars. No food, no space, no certainty of survival. They were stripped of everything: clothes, names, identity. At one point, Frankl recalls a man beside him whispering in despair, "If our wives could see us now." And instead of spiraling into hopelessness, Frankl closed his eyes, and in that moment imagined his wife's face, vividly. He didn't know if she was alive or dead, but the act of loving her in his mind, the freedom to choose what to dwell on, gave him strength. He writes, "For the first time in my life I saw the truth, that love is the ultimate and the highest goal to which man can aspire." Even in a cattle car bound for death, he claimed his mental freedom. He transmuted fear into meaning, misery into presence. That is the crucible, the place where most of what you are is burned away, and you find what cannot be destroyed. Let's end with this. If you feel lost, maybe it's not because you've failed. Maybe it's because you're being called to go deeper. Frankl didn't promise life would be easy, but he reminded us that it can always be meaningful. So the next time you feel stuck, empty, or broken, remember, you don't need perfect circumstances. You don't need to feel good all the time. You don't need to find yourself in some distant place. What you need is to live a life that answers the question, what is my why? And once you have that, you can bear almost any how. You are stronger than you think, and your life, right now, has meaning waiting to be lived.